Hey everyone, I am back, baby. I am back here with a video. One thing to know, I know this is garbage lightning, and I actually looked through my videos and noticed like as videos go on, the lighting has been getting worse and worse. And I was determined to fix it for this video, but my ring light is okay. Come here. I'll take it. My ring light is this, and I have a little connector thing for it, but the connector thing is about 1 inch big, and I don't know where it is. So if I don't find it soon, I'll buy a new cord for my ring light. But yeah, but that's not what you're here for. Actually, I don't know why you're here, but thanks for coming. Today I am going to talk about my reading. The reading I've been doing on Candide, Voltaire, is that how you say his name? The first Voltaire reading I've done, okay? Of course, I did it in English because I can't speak French, I can barely speak Spanish, and French is way down the line. But you know, I wanted to mention that I recently have been deleting my social medias, as in like taking them off my phone for at least a few days, trying to get it like mostly off or only on for business, or just like regulated so that I don't automatically go in there, and then I can have it on my phone. But as I've deleted these social media, mostly Instagram, the TikTok's gone. TikTok's not coming back probably for a while. But mostly Instagram, I've actually tried to get back into reading. And so the last 2 weeks, well, last week really, from last Saturday to the I don't know, the Thursday of last week, I read two books in less than a week. One was A Room with a View, and one was Candide, or The Optimist, or whatever you want to call it, by Voltaire. And so I felt like, I don't have anybody to talk to about my opinions of these books, and I'm reading these, and I'm like, these are so interesting. And so I decided to talk to you, or maybe it's just myself, because it's like that. To my how many followers do I have? How many subscribers? 42 subscribers. If you're watching this, thanks. And if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to me, because I'll tell you, if you subscribe to me and I get 100 subscribers, y'all gonna motivate me to make more videos. Anyway, my opinions of Candide and Voltaire, and I was actually gonna look up some critical opinions and things on Voltaire and on Candide, and like things I should be looking at, but I was like, no, I want to give my raw opinion and my raw thoughts. I just wanted to talk. I really just wanted to talk about what's going on in these books. And so let's start with Candide, and maybe I'll do a Room with a View opinion video next, but let's start with Candide because it's most fresh in my mind. All right, so things that I noticed in Candide is that it's all spoilers. So if you haven't read the book, go read the book, and then come back to this. But the thing I noticed about Candide, the name of the main guy is Candide, right? Or Candide. I don't know how you pronounce it, but it's Candide. And he believes in a philosopher who basically says that the world is made in a perfectly good as it should be. Like everything that happens for good. In the what is that word for? In the pursuit of goodness and for the purpose of goodness, everything that happens is good, even if it's bad. And so Candide listens to this philosopher, and he has the worst time. Like, I kept reading, like, it's a very straightforward book, very quick read, like, I think 104 pages, 100 pages. But man, this man can't catch a break. I'm telling you right now, if everything that you can think of going badly in human life pretty much happened to him, honestly. He really couldn't catch a break. But he was very optimistic about life because of the philosopher he believed in. And my whole time I was like, this dude is the most naively stupid guy. Like, how are you gonna be able to have conversations with multiple philosophers at the same time, and yet you get yourself into predicaments. Um, every 5 seconds. Like, you get out of them and you just so happen to meet people that you thought were dead or you thought were not around, and then you get yourself into more predicaments. And I'm just like, sir, are you not seeing a cycle? Are you not seeing a pattern? Anyway, in this book, I think Voltaire is very critical of a few things. He's very critical of religion in general. Religion, Christianity, just religious people. Because Candide, the main character, he runs into lots of different religious groups, and every group is bad to him. Every group is evil. And the interesting thing is, he says things like, "Oh, you wouldn't expect this from this blank religion." They were all terrible to him. And I feel like at this point, I don't know too much background on Voltaire. I just know he's a philosopher that I should read, so I did. But I think it's a criticism on, believing that just because somebody is a religious person who's supposed to be good and supposed to be all these things, that automatically makes them different. I think Voltaire might be pointing out the fact that humans aren't good just because they claim to be a part of this one part of things. Okay, so I think also during its time that he wrote this, I'm not sure when he wrote this, I think it was like 18th century. Religion is a very big thing. These religious people who are preaching to be good and to be godly are going and murdering and killing people who do not believe in what they stand for. And it's in a way is a criticism on this idea, like, okay, how can you be so hypocritical and talk about how badly this religion is behaving when you're killing people because they don't subscribe to your narrative? And also, like, a lot of them were seeking power. So a lot of them were only using religion for power. Like, if you looked at some of the basics of the religion, it says, like, maybe don't kill or do this or do that. They were doing the opposite of that, but still professing to be of this religion. So I think he's saying criticism of religion and the way that man has used religion to get what he wants, get what they want. Okay. That's what I think. There's probably more to it than that, but that's just a surface area. I could probably talk about books or whatever I read for hours. Let's see. I think he was criticizing war. I think he was also criticizing war and leaders of war. I think he was criticizing leaders in general. The bureaucratic leaders, military leaders, religious leaders. Because, Candide was taken by Candide was taken by Bulgarians, all right? Basically recruited, even though he wasn't Bulgarian, into the Bulgarian ranks after he was cast out of his area. And the Bulgarians, come to find out, jacked up where he used to live. Messed everybody up, killed everybody, raped everybody. That's what the Bulgarians did. And he was like, gosh, these Bulgarians. He was part of the army. He was part of the army because he was recruited. He couldn't escape. He was whipped a bunch of times for even walking away a little bit. And so he thought gassed the Bulgarians. But then he finds out that the side that he's on do the same thing. And I think there's something like a phrase like, I didn't write down like barely any notes. There's a little bit of notes, but I didn't write down any notes. These notes were after I read. I didn't even highlight anything. I just read straight through this in a day. I read this in a day. It's something about like, such is the custom of war, or these are the rules of war, where in war you're allowed to do atrocious things with little consequence and little expectation for you to do anything else. And I think that that's a criticism, and that's a talking of how in war there's not just a good side and a bad side. There are people who are killing each other on both sides, and it's really the people in power who are benefiting the most. I think that's what he was trying to say again. Like, some of these are maybe imbued with a little bit of my opinions and things, but from what I was getting is that war is not so simple. even if you are on a side and it seems so clear as day. War is not so simple, because in either side, people die, people get killed, atrocious things happen. And so that's what I was getting from that. I think he was also, again, criticizing the optimist, criticizing the person who naively believes that the world is good and created in a way that everything that happens is for the benefit of the good. So if something evil happens to you, it's for the benefit of the good. When all these terrible, sad things happen to Candide and the people around him, or Candide and the people around him, like, he still followed this philosopher's thing, and he would always say, oh gosh, if this philosopher was here, he'd have an answer to this. And this brings me to my next point, is that next point or last point or whatever, this is all jumbled up. I'm gonna say Candide because I like Candide better, but I was saying Candide every time I was reading. What do you think this book means? Look, there's a famous quote, and again, it was like, one must cultivate one's own garden. It was like at the end of the book, and I looked at this and I was about to Google it, and one must cultivate one, or garden quote. Found the quote, but then I was about to look up what does this mean? What does this mean? I don't know what this means. Or I want to hear it, but I haven't looked them up. This is what I gathered from that. Okay, Candide, in this whole book, Candide was chasing after his love, whatever. He had an infatuation with this woman and chasing after his love. And in this time, he didn't focus not once on himself. And on his journey, he picked up people to advise him and philosophize him. He never really developed his own philosophy in life, in this searching and yearning for something else. And in this, I don't know, this journey, his journey in his life, in all the things and terrible things that happened, he never really looked inward to develop his philosophy. He looked outward to find a philosopher to tell him what to think. And so I think this quote, one must cultivate one's own garden, is to know that you need to work on your own self before you start going worrying about other people and chasing after love, people who you think you love. I think love is a very strong thing. You could have said this was a love story. You could have said this was a very tragic, terrible love story, but I don't think it was. It didn't have any romantic vibes. It just had this man who was obsessed with this woman who he said he would marry. But there never really was a feeling that they deeply loved each other. It just seemed like they were obligated to each other, because that's all or at least Candide for a long time, all he ever really wanted, without thinking. And this is all she could have at the end of the day. Those are her options. She chose her options well. But yeah, I think one must cultivate one's own garden is this idea that you need to slow down sometimes, take time, be in one place, not necessarily one place, but one place in yourself, and work on yourself and find your own philosophy, and don't go seeking outside sources, your own beliefs, and build your own character, because that was an issue with Candide. He's constantly seeking out other people's opinions, and the thing is, he was the smart guy. He could have long conversations with philosophers, but his ideas weren't his own, and at the end of the day, his ideas were his own, and so he kept getting taken advantage of, and he didn't learn from anything that happened to him, because I think, in my opinion, things change, and Candide refused to change, because he tried to hold into the belief. He did hold into the belief that everything was good and everything. He was always optimistic and always, naive. I can't even say it was like him trying to see the good in people and things. It was naive and not understanding the realities of the world, and not learning from the experiences that he had and putting it into practice and changing how he thinks. So I think there's danger in not learning from your mistakes and not learning from your experiences. That's how you become a philosopher, is experience. And the thing is that you can have all the experience in your world, but if you're all the experience in life, you can have all these things. You can travel the world. You can go into the most atrocious things and have the happiest things, and you can go to El Dorado, the city of gold, and find what is supposed to be the happiest place you could ever be. But if you choose to be closed-minded, if you choose to remain in one school of thought, if you choose to be rigid in your sentiments and unmovable in how you think and how you perceive the world, that's when it gets dangerous. You'll lose all your riches. You'll lose all your love. You'll end up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. I mean, not like that, but that's having a candid. So I think there is something in us humans that is meant to adapt and change, and we need to take time to grow into the people that we need to be and cultivate our own garden before we go over here. Say, that garden looks nice. I think I like that garden. Like me, for personally, if we're talking about love, we're talking about love interests and things. I know that, I could be interested in a person, things, but I also know, like, right now in my life, I'm not ready to get married or get into, I mean, if a serious relationship comes along, we'll cross that bridge when we get here. But like, my goal right now is not necessarily making myself into the perfect woman for a man or something. My goal right now is to cultivate myself into myself as an individual, cultivate myself into the best individual I can be for me. And then, as I'm happy with the person I spend the most time with, which is myself. Oh gosh, that was bad. Then I can go out and worry about other people. But I really, right now, because I have no attachments really, I really shouldn't be worrying about it, what everybody's else doing. Oh, also, thought, this is a long video. Also, another thought I had was, this really applies to today. One must cultivate one's own garden, and social media. And that's also why it was so interesting to me that I read this book right after deleting social media, and then like seeing this theme is where you're looking at what other people have. You're looking at what other people have, and you're saying you're woeful because of what others have, and the unenjoyment of not having what they have. Social media does that. And also, like, I hate being like, oh, social media. Let's say social networks do that, and media, and looking at everybody's things, looking at everybody's things and saying that should have been mine. I don't think we're meant to do that all the time. It's dangerous to do that because you'll feel inadequate and you'll feel like you're less than. When had you not seen what this other person's garden looked like, you might have been perfectly happy with your own, Maybe your garden don't have all the pretty flowers, but ain't got no weeds, okay? That's all you need.
I also wanted to add in here real quick that it's not only about like cultivating your own garden, but being grateful for what you had because, um, you know, Candide had a lot of different things. He was in El Dorado. Even though he had many misfortunes, he had many times when he had a fortune. And he never really was overwhelmingly grateful for it or seemed to appreciate it too much. Like he was like, yes, I'm rich, but he never really had too much of a grateful attachment to it. So I think that's also a point he's making is that um, if you have something, while you have it, be grateful for it because it can be gone in an instant.
I also think of there's a movie called, I think, Joseph King of Dreams, and there's a song that goes like, bloom bloom may you grow, or is it where you go, something about blooming. And so I think, cultivating your own garden is blooming in your own way, separate from others, separate from what others have told you to believe in and others have told you to bloom as. That's what I think. I think blooming like that is you change into your own self. I think the mistake, humans want to be comfort. Humans want comfort. Humans always are seeking human companions. We are social creatures. But the mistake we make is trying to be anybody other than ourselves, trying to copy and find fulfillment in what others do. So I think that it's a matter of understanding that you are a unique individual, and you need to decide for yourself who you want to be. That's one of the that's that ending. And yeah, I think I'll probably have a lot more thoughts, but this is just like, a cursory glance into what I think of this book. If you like this video, subscribe. If I get to 100 subscribers, I'm gonna bake a cake. I'm gonna say this in every video. I'll bake a cake. I can't bake, by the way. I mean, I can, but I don't really bake. My sisters bake, I don't bake. But I will bake a cake and have 100 subscribers written on it and show it to you all. I mean, most people do this for like 1,000 or 10,000. I just want 100. Just want 100, man. I would feel very accomplished if I do that. I know this video is rambling. I know the lighting is trash. I'm sorry. There's a lamp over here, and that's all there is. But hopefully you got something out of it. I don't know what it's saying, but I wanted a space to talk about the book, I thought it was a really interesting book, very straightforward book, very good read, and much lighter read than I thought it was going to be for a philosopher of that time. And so I think I might read more Voltaire and maybe look more into his belief systems and into his philosophies and his works, some of the more difficult works later, maybe when I can speak French. But yeah, thanks for watching, and tune into the next video. More content to come, maybe about Spain, maybe about books, whatever I feel like doing, I want to do, because this is my YouTube channel. Okay, I apologize again. I'm sorry, my throat is dusty. Bye.